What's up, everybody, and welcome back to some more cryptocurrency news and breakdowns. This article is going to talk about how they're going to start tracking cryptocurrency. Now, this came out of South Korea, and if you go to this website, KH Games, and translate it, you can get a kind of a breakdown of what was said. It was also reported on Cointelegraph and some other ones here, which I will read from. So, South Korea to deploy cryptocurrency tracking systems in 2023. And I imagine this is on the heels of all the different kinds of rug pulls and frauds and phishing scams that have been happening since everything kicked off in 2019. The virtual currency tracking system will be used to monitor transaction history, extract information related to transactions, and check the source of funds before and after remittance. The Ministry of Justice in South Korea, it's a very Orwellian kind of name. Anything that's like the Ministry of just reminds me of Orwell, of his book 1984. In South Korea, announced plans to introduce a crypto tracking system to counter money laundering initiatives and recover funds linked to criminal activities. The virtual currency tracking system will be used to monitor transaction history, extract information related to transactions, check the source of funds before and after remittance, according to local media outlet KH Games. That was this website that I kind of linked here. I won't read from this site just because it's been translated and it'll just kind of sound funny, but generally these articles do cover pretty much exactly what it was saying. There's also some information on Twitter basically saying the exact same thing. They're going to introduce this tracking system and in the first half of this year to strengthen the tracking of money laundering, monitor criminals, and all that. And again, I think this is on the heels of all the different money laundering laws or money laundering scams, the phishing scams, the rug pulls that happened in the past few years with cryptocurrency and the amounts of money that has been lost from investors. But I also think that it's another kind of quasi way for them to implement different kinds of tracking systems for cryptocurrencies, because we are approaching the inevitable implementation of CBDCs worldwide, or at least in the Western countries and countries that are kind of under the Western sphere of influence, and South Korea definitely is. While the system is slated to be deployed in the first half of 2023, the South Korean ministry shared plans to develop an independent tracking and analysis system in the second half. A rough translation of the ministry's statements read, "In response to the sophisticated crime, we will improve the forensic infrastructure. We will build a criminal justice system that meets international standards." I don't know if you're all aware, but South Korea, Japan, these areas are some of the biggest in terms of activity for cryptocurrency in general. So it kind of makes sense that this is coming out of there. I know that the rest of the world will probably follow suit, maybe even use this as a template to kind of get across their own types of tracking systems, or ultimately just use the same one and implement it wherever they are. The South Korean police previously established an agreement with 5 local crypto exchanges to cooperate in criminal investigations and ultimately create a safe trading environment for crypto investors. And this is kind of where my suspicions immediately pop up, and I really do question the benevolence of things like this. Create a safe trading environment. Safe based on what factors? I'm not going to sit here and say there is not fraud in this industry. I myself have actually been, I've fallen prey to several frauds within cryptocurrency. A couple of them are phishing scams from airdrops and rug pulls that happened on Uniswap, and this is going back to like 2020. So I know that there is a lot of fraud, criminal activity when it comes to cryptocurrency in general. However, I also know that the governments around the world do not like decentralization. They do not like decentralized finance. They don't want us using things like Lido, MakerDAO, Aave, Curve, and the rest of them to access cryptocurrency, to trade cryptocurrency, and to use these cryptocurrencies in a decentralized way to get a yield on these assets. They want us within their sphere of influence, and they're going to use things like the rug pulls and like all the fraud that's going on in the space to make that a reality, to kind of push people into their own controlled versions of this new kind of digital finance, what I call and everyone calls CeFi. And if you've been following the news over the past couple of years, centralized finance of digital assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum and all the rest of them have not worked out very well at all. Actually, they've fallen prey to their own levels of fraud. In fact, actually, in terms of dollar amounts, far worse. The FTX fiasco is in the billions. Same thing with Celsius and all the rest of them, Genesis lending platform. Any one of these has been responsible for billions of dollars in lost funds of people's assets, and the entire time it was due to these degenerates having access to your funds when you should have been practicing self-custody, which is something I always push for. You need to get your money off of these centralized exchanges and put it into things like DeFi and start getting a yield on your assets in a decentralized way. And I think that these crypto tracking systems are going to be used to monitor that. Actually, they're going to find a way. They probably already can actually, but they're going to find ways to see exactly, who and where people are using DeFi, and they're going to try to put a stop to it. They're going to maybe even implement certain functions within mobile wallets. I know that a while back, Trust Wallet actually removed the dApps button from the wallet itself. You would go into your mobile phone, you'd go to your Trust Wallet, and you try to access dApps, and actually the button was removed. Now you could still use the search feature within your Trust Wallet to search up the dApps. It was just another hurdle for the average person that's just kind of getting into cryptocurrency to go through to try to get access to the decentralized world and more or less push them towards staying in the sphere of influence. And I thought that was very interesting. I had friends that I was trying to help get into cryptocurrency, and I was trying to explain to them what dApps are and how they work, and we always ran into the same issue. And I found that was a thing across the board for all the Apple phones. So there are these things that they have been doing over time to limit people's access to DeFi, and it's not a coincidence, and it's obviously by design. They do not want you having your funds outside of the system. They want it within the system. And these kinds of things will be used in kind of a dual narrative. It's going to be obviously to provide safety and security and track down criminals, but at the same time too, it's going to be used to control what you do. Small nudges and incremental implementations of these kinds of things, like these tracking systems and all the rest of it, which again will probably be used to kind of put towards your eventual digital ID. And you may even be punished, actually, if they find out that you're using these decentralized applications that they've deemed to be unsafe. We saw what happened with Tornado Cash, and subsequently what happened after that with USDC actually freezing USDC on people's wallets. And that is extremely dangerous in the decentralized space. USDC is probably one of the biggest stablecoins next to Tether, and even Vitalik, even the founder of Ethereum, didn't really have much to say on this in terms of its effect that it's going to have on censorship. And this also is just in line with the switch over from proof of work to proof of stake on Ethereum, which will eventually, in my opinion, make Ethereum less of a permissionless blockchain. You're going to need permission to use it. And all of these small little implementations are slowly getting us towards a kind of re-centralization of what was supposed to be the decentralized world. And I think we are going to see more of this. Keep your eyes on this kind of a thing and do what you can to limit the amount of funds that you have that can be tracked and traced. I know that there are some privacy-focused applications right now. I think one of the main ones that I've been following is called Offshift. I'll do another video on that one later on to kind of explain what it does. But they are building a privacy-focused protocol on layer 1, which is incredibly important because that's where most of the liquidity is, and that's where most of the users are, is on layer 1. And so if they can get something that can give people the ability to stay anonymous, with at least within it comes with, I guess, with storing assets, They can't really implement ZK on layer 1. There's just not enough space within the block size. Again, I'll explain more of that in the video on off shift that I plan to do. But at least we have some people that are trying to build tools for decentralized users to protect themselves against these kind of tracking and tracing systems that governments around the world will be building and are building right now. I mean, South Korea is just coming out and publicly stating this, but there's no doubt in my mind that this is something that every single government is working on a version of. And we're going to see them implement that in the future, especially as we get closer to the worldwide implementation of CBDCs and digital IDs. But keep your eyes on this, like I was saying, and stick around. And I will have that video on OffShift put out in the next couple of days to try to go over a little bit about what that protocol is, and also just tie into some points about why I think privacy is going to be a really big thing come the next cycle here. Because these things are going to be, these systems of tracking and tracing, they're going to be way more overt in the coming months, no doubt in my mind. Other than that, you can read more on this article. I'll leave a link in the description below. Leave a comment and give me your thoughts about what you think these tracking and tracing systems are going to be used for. Do you agree with this? Do you think this is a good thing for the space? Do you think it's a bad thing? Let me know your thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. Share it with your friends, and if you want to see more content like this, consider subscribing, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.